So here's an overview of how we're going to make our mockups. So first, um, here's an example of an existing app. So this clearly is not a China app, but you see here you have a play window and a live screenshot. And depending on what your group has assigned to you, you might be responsible for making either menu options or live screenshots of what your prototype will look like. So I'm going to pretend I'm going to be making a river action app about river pollution. So first thing I'll do is I'll download my images, and if I see parts of the screen that I want, if I don't want to download the whole thing, I can always go to snippet, type in by SNIP, and click, let's say I want this play button here from an existing app. I can just do that and save that, and you can save it to your social studies folder or somewhere, and play button, title it so I know what it is, and see if I like these buttons, the blue buttons, I'll just do snippet again. Yeah, it's just actually it's right down there. I'll click new. Let's say I want this button. Okay. Save. Now it's a objectives button. Or another way to do it was if I want to make buttons, I can in PowerPoint. What nice about PowerPoint is when you look at insert and shapes, you can kind of make all kinds of cool shapes that kind of look like buttons. And then we can just, put the words in here. And remember, your app's going to have English and Chinese. So I'll change the color. So this might be a good, PowerPoint would be a good place for you to start, just getting the Chinese into your app to begin with, because remember, this is a major part of your score, is to translate your words into Chinese, and you can just start putting it in. So, so if you don't, so this is a quick way to make your buttons. And then we can translate. Make it a little smaller. All right, and maybe, to be honest, maybe I won't even need to go into Mockflow. Like maybe, when I do it, if I snip I click new, maybe just snipping this, maybe that's exactly how I want my first screen to look like. And then I snip it, save, and I save that as first screen, and perhaps I'm done for that first page. So when we look at Mockflow, if I log in, so I go to Wireframe, then I log into Google Apps, and I type in my GovTeam email. And then remember, because we have a free account, I have to actually delete this previous copy. And then I'll click add a new project. Add a new one. You can call it anything since you're not going to save it. So here we are in Mockflow, and the reason that sometimes we do Mockflow instead of PowerPoint is, Mockflow, you kind of have some interesting buttons you can choose from. So like if I wanted to put this in, or there's a few more choices. Now you can decide if this is the easier way to do it, especially if if you needed a keyboard, in Mockflow you can have a keyboard in your thing. So the one thing I just remind you is that and if you scroll down, you see there are all these buttons. So I should have said that earlier. So you see you can use these buttons and just move them into place. So that's the advantage of Mockflow, right? You have all these scenes, and you can just copy them and drag them over. Now remember that even here, what you're going to do is you're going to use the snippet tool. and you're going to snip the screen, right? And if you're gonna need the keyboard, then you snip it with the keyboard too. Remember, you don't need to snip the whole phone, right? Because we're gonna be putting this onto a real phone. So you look at here. So let's say I need this barge to be in my game, right? So I want my game this to be in there, right? So first thing I'll need to do is I'll need to get this barge into a program like Pixlr. So let me go back and see if I can. Okay, so I'm gonna save this picture. Then I'm gonna go to Pixlr. I'm gonna open from the computer. And then trash barge to my mind. What I'm gonna do is I clicked a new image and I clicked transparent. So I clicked a new image and I clicked transparent. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this whole thing, edit select all or control A. Now I'll do edit copy or control C, and I'll paste that here. And then now what I'm going to do is just a few ways I can delete the background. I can either try to magic wand it, and then remember I can change the tolerance to make the magic wand a little pickier, try to pick up more of it. But sometimes, and let me go, if it's not right I can go edit, deselect. Sometimes it's a little faster for me just to get an eraser, and I'm just going to erase around it. Okay. And do you see that checkered back that's coming around it? Well, that checkered back, that's just saying that this is going to be invisible behind it. Okay, so when we're working on this, sometimes it's easier to have a mouse. So then, once I have my boat, so once I have my boat, then I can save this. I'll save this boat. Now I have to save it as a PNG. So you see that if I save it as a JPEG, it's actually a white background, but if I save it as a PNG, it's going to be a clear background. I'll save it to my computer. And then, in my game, I can then insert my picture. So I have my boats, right? So I can have the scene where just give me my game, and I can go and I can go 10 points, right? And then put this here, and make this my action shot. So so I can have that. That could be my done scene. And I can do my snippet tool. Or let's say that's only partly done, and let's say I still want to go into like boat scene. Let's see, maybe there's a button I want to use. So let's find a good button, like an action button. Let's try a radio button. Yeah, go forward. Okay, and then over here I can make that a little bigger. Okay. And then maybe I'll put another button. Go back. Move this up here. I'll increase the font size over here. Make it bold. Now, here's the tricky part about Mockflow. Um, Unlike Pixlr or PowerPoint where you can paste in Chinese words, in Mockflow you can't. So if I wanted this button to be in Chinese, then what I really would have wanted to do then is I probably would have wanted to have done that in PowerPoint, right? Or Pixlr. So let's do this one Pixlr. So I'm gonna button for like a play button. Okay. So I'll save that play button to the computer. Now I'll go to Pixlr. I'm gonna create a new screen, call it transparent. Okay. And then I'm going to then open this picture. And I'm going to magic wand this. So watch this. If I magic wand all four corners here, I'm going to do edit, inverse selection, and edit, copy. Okay. And go back to that blank screen. And paste it here. Okay. And then this is where I can then start adding my Chinese, right? So go back to translate. Go forward. Chinese simplified. Okay, and Pixlr. Look for the text box. I can do it in both languages. Okay, make the font a little bigger. Right, and then if I want to cut it down, I can make a square. And if I click edit, sorry, so I can go to image. So I go down to image, I can click crop. The crop will shrink it. So once again, if I highlight the square, I go to image, I go to crop, it'll shrink it. And I'm going to save this. Remember, if I save as a JPEG, the background's going to turn white. So I save as a PNG. And this is the go forward button. This, guys, I know this sounds like a lot of steps, but this is why you have a team. You got to communicate who's going to make what. Maybe somebody's going to make all the buttons. Maybe somebody work in Mockflow. Maybe somebody work in PowerPoint. And then here, if I'm unhappy with these buttons, let me delete them, and let me just, go back up to images. Add an image, upload, go forward button. Okay. And it's right here. It's a little too big, so I'm going to shrink it. Right. So you could have always done that. Or, if I come back to PowerPoint, I could have always just done that in PowerPoint too, right? So we have many different options to whatever you're comfortable doing. I could have just taken that go forward button I made there, and PowerPoint, shrunk it, and then when I'm ready, I go snip it. So here it is, snip, click new tool, and I snip my